9 years ago, my own family erased me from their lives. They said I was the ugly daughter who embarrassed a family full of respected doctors. They told relatives I would never become anything. When I walked into my sister's wedding years later, my mother asked why I was there. My sister laughed and said I was never invited. Then her groom suddenly stood up, looked at everyone, and said, "Stop. You have no idea who this woman really is." In the next few minutes, the entire wedding hall fell silent as a secret that had been hidden for years changed everything forever. My name is Elowen Hart. I grew up in a family where every conversation was about medicine. My father was a famous surgeon. My mother was a respected pediatrician. My older sister had already become one of the youngest cardiologists in our city. Every family photo showed perfect smiles, perfect careers, and perfect expectations. I was different. I loved repairing old machines, reading history books, and helping people in quiet ways. I was never interested in becoming a doctor. At school, I struggled with science, but excelled in design and engineering. Instead of encouragement, I received constant criticism. My parents often compared me to my sister. Relatives whispered that I was the family disappointment. Some even joked that I was too plain to ever succeed. Graduation day became the worst day of my life. My father refused to celebrate. My mother said I had wasted the family name. A week later, they told me to leave the house because they no longer wanted to support someone who refused to continue the family tradition. I packed one suitcase and left without looking back. Life outside was difficult. I worked night shifts cleaning offices while attending engineering classes during the day. Some nights, I cried from exhaustion. Other nights, I questioned whether my family had been right about me. But every challenge pushed me harder. I earned scholarships, built prototypes, and eventually created affordable medical equipment designed for small rural hospitals. Years passed. My company slowly gained attention because our devices helped thousands of patients receive treatment they otherwise could not afford. Investors believed in my vision, and hospitals across the country began using our technology. I never contacted my family because I believed they had already made their choice. One afternoon, I received an unexpected envelope. It contained a wedding invitation addressed to my old apartment, even though there was no personal note inside. I hesitated for days before deciding to attend, not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted closure. The moment I entered the wedding hall, my mother frowned and asked why I was there. My sister walked over with a smile that carried years of arrogance. She quietly said, "You were not invited. Please leave before you embarrass us again." Guests stared. Some recognized me from childhood. Others looked away, pretending nothing was happening. Before I could respond, my sister's future husband overheard the conversation. He walked toward us with confusion on his face. He looked directly at my parents and asked why they were treating me this way. My father dismissed me as the family failure who never achieved anything. The groom became completely silent. Then he slowly turned toward the guests and said every person in this room deserves to know the truth. He explained that 3 years earlier, he had survived a serious accident. During his recovery, doctors used an advanced rehabilitation device developed by a small engineering company. That invention had dramatically reduced his recovery time and allowed him to walk again. He pointed directly at me and said she designed that technology. Without her work, I might never have stood here today. The room became completely silent. He continued by explaining that hospitals in several states now relied on my company's affordable equipment because it saved lives while reducing costs. He had met many doctors who admired my innovations without realizing the inventor had been rejected by her own family. My parents looked shocked. My sister could not say a single word. For the first time, they realized success is not measured by one profession or by appearance. It is measured by the lives you improve. The groom thanked me publicly and asked me to stay because of someone who had changed so many lives deserved respect, not rejection. Many guests stood and applauded. Several doctors approached me asking about future projects and partnerships. I smiled politely, but did not seek revenge. I simply wished the couple happiness and quietly left the reception, knowing I no longer needed my family's approval. The life I had built through perseverance had already become my greatest victory. Sometimes the people who underestimate you become the witnesses to your greatest success. Never let someone else's opinion define your future. Real victory is not proving people wrong. It is building a life so meaningful that your actions speak louder than every insult you ever received. If this story inspired you, remember that your greatest comeback begins the moment you stop asking for permission to chase your dreams.